Hi Capricorns, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel. So I haven't done a read in a little while. Started a new job that I've really been enjoying the actual work of, but other things about it, that are still a little bit stressful. Not quite at the place I'd hoped to be at this age, even though I've been putting in the work, and I'm it's getting there, but. Medicine can just be really disenchanting, and I don't think that that's necessary. Yeah, just feeling kind of like withdrawn and like apathetic about the energy that surrounds how we practice Western medicine, and it's not just because of how doctors are alone, although that's part of the history of why medicine is practiced the way that it is in the United States. I certainly do find that there are problems with the professionalization of the profession of medicine in the United States. A great book is The Social Transformation of American Medicine. Oh my gosh, by Paul Starr. And using that book largely as like a reference, I sort of, wrote my own work about some of that history and how it continues to affect young physicians, but really the entire healthcare system. But it also goes so much deeper than that, to like the founding of America and our ideals and our values. And so it can just be a really disenchanting space. And so, okay, but don't be too bitchy about it. There's some really beautiful things. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be able to work in a space where I can now talk about evidence-based medicine and spirituality as being two sides of the same coin. But like, if anyone who I knew in medicine knew that I had a tarot channel, or how deeply I believe that there is truth to astrological understandings of our world, I would get in a lot of trouble, like with the profession as an idea, certainly. But I think that, multiple kinds of things can be true, and as long as you are not basing your whole life on your natal chart or the reading of the day or on tarot readings, because, that's power of the universe in the hands of humans, and, humans will do with things as they will, just like the problem is never really religion. It's human greed and power and control and nationalism and imperialism and those kinds of things. So more than one thing can be true, but I feel absolutely disenchanted when I step away from this work for too long, so I'm really glad to be back. Thanks for listening to my ramble. That's been about 3 minutes, and that's enough. So for Capricorn, we're in an earth season right now with a Virgo season, the mutable earth. Capricorn, though, Capricorn is the cardinal earth, the one who plants the garden. It's important to, even if you're a secular humanist kind of a person, the world can still be enchanting. The world is enchanting, and we do a great disservice when we decide that rationality and logic are what the truth is, because we're just not as rational or as logical as animals as we like to think that we are. So Capricorn in the present moment, the Queen of Pentacles, the Earth, really standing in your feminine power with how you are able to derive your resources and create abundance for yourself, working to make sure you have a nice balance between your home and between your work, but really getting those resources, and really kind of like this, she sort of looks like Mother Mary to me with, Virgo season here. So Capricorn, another earth sign, really standing in your feminine power in a way that is able to draw resources and opportunities towards you. And the challenge right now is feeling like the Four of Wands, so some fire energy. This is kind of about celebration and a happiness, a happy life at home, but also just celebration in general. Maybe there's seeming like a challenge with that celebration, possibly because you are more working on gathering resources and things, so maybe not necessarily feeling like it's time for inspiration and passion for other things other than, your work. But interesting that this would come up as a challenge, because this is a card of like joy and celebration and engagement and marriage and things like that. So maybe like the home life is feeling like it's a challenge when you're kind of working to gather your resources together. In the recent past, the Two of Pentacles in the reverse, so having trouble like balancing out your priorities. Maybe when it has to do with like fun and work, home and work, and now stepping towards, this feminine abundant energy of gathering, your resources and your money towards you. And in the near future, you have the Emperor card, the Aries card. This is about having just like control over your domain. So maybe in the past you've been recently feeling like not sure how to juggle things, not sure what to dedicate the most time to, but now deciding maybe I'm, working towards, my resources, my career, which is very, earth energy of Capricorn, and then in the near future taking that newfound power in your resources and your career towards just establishing like a sense of control over your life and over your domain in a way that is mature, not using control for the negative sides of its power, but for its usefulness in creating structure, which is very, helpful to Capricorns, creating structure and really building your kingdom there. Interesting, the two ram heads. I was thinking about ram heads recently, and I heard it on the podcast again today. But really, like being a leader in your space. In the above energy is the King of Wands. So in your conscious energy, how you're sort of like maybe displaying yourself to the world, what you're conscious of working with right now is this fiery, inspirational energy towards passion and just bringing in passionate, fiery energy and standing strong in that as well. So like a lot of sort of like the royalty cards here. So standing in your more mature power with how you're getting your resources, with how you're expressing your passion and your inspiration, generally how you're controlling your life. In your future here, I like this Emperor card because it's the fourth card in the major arcanas, and right now is the Cancer Moon, which is the fourth sign. Oh, that made me think of something else too. And in your subconscious energy is the 10 of Pentacles in the 10 of Swords in the reverse. And this is about healing. So in your subconscious energy, really putting down some sort of major disappointment, healing from something that maybe caused you a tremendous amount of pain. And Capricorns, I think, are always sort of processing pain on the underneath of things. Like, working with their guilt, working with their sense of contraction and restriction. And I hope that this is recording. Okay, I'm not sure. Was that recording? Okay, so it was recording. Now I'm going to have to put this video together on iMovie, which I never love, but it is what it is. And who cares? In the subconscious energy, 10 of Swords in the reverse, which is really like doing a lot of healing on the underneath. Chiron, several planets are in retrograde right now, major and minor planets, or asteroids and other rocks that are up there that are meaningful for the astrological understandings. But Chiron being in retrograde, this is a significant period of healing from mid-July to mid-December of 2021. So on the underskirts of everything, you are doing that healing in private as you work on, building up your passion projects and your work, and the sense of, self-sufficiency when it comes to your life. But in the underwork, you are like doing a really active healing as well, not just covering it up with that work, but maybe using the energy of this to do the other work and vice versa. Advice is the Page of Pentacles. This is about moving towards new opportunities. So advice to keep doing sort of what you're doing here with this Queen of Pentacles energy, bringing like a youthful spirit to the way that you are developing your career and your money and your finances, and having a hopeful spirit about the way that you are accumulating your pentacles. So keep doing that. Keep doing you with that earth sign energy, of bringing home, the bacon or whatever else you would eat if you don't eat bacon. Energy surrounding you right now is the Five of Swords. So maybe like a little bit of conflict with how like you're communicating your ideas, communicating with other people. Like maybe, yeah, you're right about something at the end of the day, but the way you're communicating it is making it so that people leave and they're not necessarily listening to what you have to say, or they listen and they think that you were right, but the way that you delivered it was in a way that they are now hurt, and like that's not helpful to them. And so what's the point of being right about stuff if you can't, continue to share the things that you know with other people because they have left, because you are not being like kind about the way that you express your ideas. So someone else could be doing this to you. You could be doing this to other people. I like to kind of frame my reads as like this is energy going on for you. So it's something that you can actually like maybe do something about and control. If it's something, control. If it has like, if it feels like it's resonating for you at that time. So the energy surrounding you is just like, yeah, communicating ideas and stuff, and maybe having an element of truth to the things that you're saying. But like if something is delivered without a kindness, then usually there is some amount of truth that is actually like lacking, and there's a rigidity on the part of the person who's delivering. So something to think about there possibly. Maybe a fear here is the Two of Swords. So a challenge of just like not knowing which way to go with some sort of an idea, and you're kind of like at an impasse, and you're just like, I don't know, you're not necessarily feeling like overwhelmed about which way to go, but possibly, especially when it comes to like a decision between this or that, between like a binary of choice, you're not really sure like how to go about that. There is like this mystery of the ocean behind you. There's so many unknowns, and so maybe within that feeling like you don't know which way to turn. Am I going to go left or right, or am I going to go up or down? And maybe that's like a fear because you would prefer to know exactly where you're going in this moment. And the outcome of this is the Ten of Cups in the reverse. So the Ten of Cups in the reverse means that maybe some sort of like a loss when it comes to a sense of creativity or relationship or nurturance, a feeling of being like nurtured in your home life, but feeling like the home life is not necessarily exactly where you had wanted it to be. Like maybe feeling like a sadness about not quite being at the exact place in your home life that you want to be. But this can also have to do with like just creative processes and ideas about love and things like that. So it really, like a Capricorn does, expressing their love and expressing their love through the accumulation of resources and like money and giving people things and doing things for people. Maybe sometimes that can get a little bit out of balance. And so it's interesting that this is the outcome card when the challenge is sort of feeling like the home life and like that celebratory energy. So right now, maybe just feeling like you're wanting to grind out and do your work and like stand in your confidence, and like be a leader in the work that you're doing, and you're working to heal to get through that. You have had trouble balancing priority, and now like you are working much more actively and directedly towards you're gathering the resources in a way that feels meaningful for you, where you can really be a leader. And so maybe that's going to make it so that balance is going a little bit towards the work life. And just always a reminder for earth signs and Capricorns, and especially to remember on the Cancer moon, which is a sign of really like nurturance, and it's that water and it's that feminine side of the home. It's where Mother Moon is domiciled. Just to remember that your home is important too, because your job itself can never love you back. Certainly the work that you do can give you a tremendous sense of meaning and purpose, and we absolutely need that. But to remember that like what's at home can be more real, and not more real, but what's at home really matters like just as much. Like to just remember to not overvalue work to the detriment of like undervaluing the home. And that's always just like I think a reminder for Capricorn and earth signs in general. Really important to work and find meaning in your work. I think that people actually like don't allow that of people enough. It's like if you're doing work well, then it's like there must be something wrong at home, or there's something wrong with you, or it's it's your own addiction kind of a problem. But your work is actually really important to you. It's important for us to find like value in our work and to be serious about it, because you can't be in two places at once. Then you're distracted in that direction as well. So, but just remember that the home is really important as well. The home matters. Your relationships really matter, because your job does not keep you warm at night, especially because jobs change and there's bosses and all kinds of different things that can make work stressful, even if you love the work itself. So eagle, triumph over troubles and obstacles. So you will triumph over this, and I see a lot of strength here in the reading. Leg, stepping into a new experience. Maybe this is around like your job, and I'm not just saying that because you're Capricorn, but just the way that it's coming up with where it seems like your energy is mostly focused right now around that Pentacle and leadership energy. A great personal sorrow, so maybe that has something going on with not necessarily just like your immediate home, like your love relationships, but it could be that, but just like with your relationships in general. Like maybe it's just feeling like that's not what's feeling like the most valuable thing to you at the current moment, and maybe that's creating a sadness, or there's sadness about something else. A great personal sorrow. And for the Cancer moon, Cancer moon brings the floods. Fair man, dealings a relationship with a man with blonde, gray, or white hair. So if that means anything for you, but you will triumph over what you're going through. And if there is some sort of sadness here about relationships or love or home, sorry if you're going through that. But continuing to do your best to like balance out both sides of your life is always important, and to feel your emotions and to not feel guilty about when the home life does take you away from work, even if that's what you're mostly focused on, because that balance is important. Get some color crush for Capricorn. So we get rejection, frustration, and abundance. So I think like Capricorns are always going through like an amount of a stress. So this doesn't mean that things, good, positive things aren't happening also, but what's the point of a reading if it's not to like kind of guide you somewhere that could be like more helpful than where you're at? It's not just to like feel good all the time. Frustration. For some reason, despite all your best efforts, you aren't able to achieve what you're working toward, and that's frustrating. Instead of getting angry or disappointed, take a step back or a break from whatever is going on. What are some alternative approaches to the situation? Is there a solution that you haven't tried yet? Will a new perspective help you find a solution? So maybe feeling frustrated that because you don't know exactly which way to go, of like two decisions of ways of moving forward towards this abundance that you're searching for, and that could create a sense of frustration. Rejection. Try to reframe the pain of rejection and consider that whatever rejected you wasn't meant to be part of your life at this time, whether it be a person, job, or something else. Some even say that rejection is protection. So even though it may really hurt right now, know that something better is waiting for you. Trust that whatever is meant for you is on its way. So maybe when it comes to like your work life or your home life, there has been some sort of maybe you didn't get a job that you wanted, and that's creating like trouble in the home, or like the idea of a job that you had wanted isn't working out, and so that's creating a sorrow and a sense of rejection that your plan wasn't going in the way that you had hoped for it to. But whatever's going to happen is like you will triumph over that, and you will have like a new experience regardless. And an abundance, which is just very earth energy. This Virgo season, this Capricorn reading, the earth signs. Abundance. While this card depicts coins, it's important to remember that abundance can come in many forms, like love, friendship, career, and family, not just monetary abundance. This card asks you to recognize and celebrate the abundance that is in your life, along with the deep sense of gratitude that comes along with it. So remembering to balance out, the home and the work life, and abundance. This earth energy with the pentacles is really about abundance in general, and resources, which is not always financial. So just to remember that, like, work and career stimulates abundance of many kinds, and it's not always about money, but like usually Capricorns do find their money, certainly. So there's lots of forms of abundance. So don't just, it's not just career, it's not just what you can do for people, it's not just your money. Abundance comes in many forms. And like maybe like actively developing a new perspective around that can be helpful. Moon card, your commitment is being tested. So maybe there's something going on in your life where it's like a happy home life is actually feeling a little stressful because maybe you're having like other ideas, or should I go this way or go that way with how I spend my time, or about a person. I don't like to make this about people because I think that can get like messy quickly. But like your commitment to something is being tested, whether it's a person or an idea, or part of your job, and you maybe are afraid of not knowing which way to go. But that's why, happy home life is maybe feeling like a stress. And why the outcome could be like more of like a disappointment with like a sense of like love and relationship and creativity. Maybe you won't be able to commit to something that you had wanted to commit to. An idea around for your job, and that's why there's this sense of rejection and frustration. And just like a reminder, like a lot of healing readings I'm seeing for the Chiron retrograde. So just like overall messages just being that like there are many forms of abundance, and that comes in, many ways. We are moving towards this position of leadership, but just don't forget about, that abundance comes in many forms. And just be careful about not being like biting with the way that that you're communicating new ideas. Trying to, you don't always have to be fighting and standing up. Sometimes it's okay to be quieter. Like the hidden water of the Cancer moon. If you're not sure which emotions you're feeling and moody about something, it would be nice and, easier to take a step back instead of trying to push things in that direction all the time. I'm interested to see what Rumi card comes up here. Maybe it's something being tested. I surge on the uprising wave of love. Yeah, so it feels like the energy is there's definitely like a little feeling of conflict here, but like that's just like Capricorn's always trying to like do what's right and do, what they think is trying to be upstanding. And sometimes it can be hard to know how to do that exactly, but I like this for the Cancer moon. I surge on the uprising wave of love. My life can be summed up in 3 accounts. I was raw, I was cooked, and I was burned. I surge on the uprising wave of love. No gravity can stop me from rising. The moon pulls the tide of life toward her, and my soul is oneness with all of life, answers her call. In oneness with all of life, answers her call. A wave of love consumes me, and upwards I fly, flying through water to greet her shining body. Led by my heart, my wits are addled, and my mind becomes a blurry mess, and so I feel the truth of her love and the divine reflection she shines back at me from her radiant heart. This is a karmic period, a time during which the movement of greater planetary bodies will have an impact upon the Earth and humanity. This is the way of things, greater cycles affecting smaller ones. The smaller ones are not less important, but they do have to bow to the power of the great in oneness with the magnificent unfolding divinity that is life itself. What we always have at our disposal is choice as to how we respond to these affecting movements and cycles. So we have that choice. The effect of this karmic cycle is now unfolding in your life is to bring you into sweet surrender and awakening into greater love. What a delicious divine destiny. And how terrifying when we are actually thrown into the ocean behind this person who's having trouble making a choice and moved by it. Its sheer power, its wild force, and its passionate dance with the Moon Mother, beautiful with the Virgo Moon Mother Mary and the Cancer Moon where the moon is domiciled. might have us fearing that we most certainly will die, if the only thing that is dying here and now is your grasp, your attempts at control. The only thing dying here and now in your grasp, your attempts at control. Why? Because your heart is more powerful than your fear, and it wants to live in total trusting surrender of the unfoldment of life's genius. It wants to let life happen to it. What a wise intention that is. There are changes happening, and they will be out of your control. This is because you are ready for accelerated life change. Rather than paddling, you'll be caught up in a wave and move farther, faster. Let yourself surge on with the energy of what is happening, leading with your heart and just going with whatever unfolds. This will help bring you the best fortune and open you up to the divine destiny that is your birthright this lifetime. So going with the flow, that's a nice water moon message, especially when it looks like, the water energy is lacking here, except when you're getting to the outcome of the Ten of Cups in reverse, which is feeling like a disappointment about a creative love, family situation. It's really just about like love and abundance, and not necessarily feeling like you're in that. So just you're not necessarily, even though you're moving towards this sense of control, you're not necessarily going to be in control about everything all the time, and that can be definitely hard to that can be a hard thing to grasp for people who do want to be in control, earth signs especially. And so let that love wave take you. And I think that's an important lesson for Capricorns and for earth signs in general. Don't let it drown you, because that is its own problem. But if you're not a water person, then learning about the water is important. That doesn't mean it's going to overtake you completely, although it can in moments. But you can move a little bit more towards that watery, allowing that rush, allowing that flow to take you places, instead of having everything always be so calculated and planning, and this has to be this way and this has to be this way, because then if it's not, you can be very disappointed. And so water takes the shape of whatever container it's in, and so that's a beautiful lesson of the water to remember to balance out your work and your home life, and to allow that enchantment to enter you. Because the world is enchanting, whether even if you don't call it religion or spirituality or God, there is an enchanting process happening on this earth. The fact that we are all alive here and going through this, wild experience of being alive. So if you don't know which way to go about something, just let a really intuitive, try to get in touch with your intuition and the sensitive, and your sensitivity a little bit more as it relates to your relationship with other people, not necessarily how it's other people are viewing you because of your status and things like that, which is something that you could get caught up with as an earth sign. Certainly letting things flow and roll and take you, and remembering that abundance means many things. It's not just your career, it's not just your finances. Abundance and resources comes in many different forms. And so as you move into this next phase, remembering it really is remembering the lessons of the water, because the earth, Capricorn, it needs the water to allow it to grow and move into this abundance. And sometimes that rejection, that frustration, those tears of Cancer season, that can drown us when it becomes overwhelming. There is also a beauty in this gigantic heart of love in that allows that process to happen. So at least learning a little bit of that lesson can be helpful when you are having trouble getting out of your more predominant energies that you already know really, really well and are very helpful to you. But bringing in something new always allows that creativity and that love to come inside, and so that it can then go outside to your projects and whatever you're working on, and to the people who you love. So good luck, Capricorn, and keep surging on the uprising wave of love. All right, bye-bye.